I'm John Hendricks. It's Thursday, November 27th, and decision day in a Manitoba court.
I'm so proud of the leadership in Bloodvein.
A Manitoba judge rules on a First Nation blockade, why both sides may be pleased with the ruling. Also today.
Drop that, my friend.
Candid camera. RCMP body cameras are now deployed across the province. How many Mounties have them and how they're being used. Plus, an unexpected eviction. Why hockey teams won't be able to skate at a Winnipeg arena. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. We now have a verdict in a legal dispute brought forward by a conservation organization representing the interests of Manitoba hunters. The Manitoba Wildlife Federation, or MWF, took legal action against Bloodvein First Nation in October. It alleged the First Nation was unlawfully blocking a highway. MWF claimed they were turning away licensed moose hunters at the Blockade, preventing access to game hunting areas, and it sought an injunction in court to stop it. Joining us now to break down the verdict is CTV's Taylor Brock. So Taylor, what happened in court today? Well,
John, a Manitoba judge shot down MWF's injunction. However, MWF says it's pleased with the end result. Its main goal was to restore hunting, and that's happening thanks to a written agreement with the First Nation.
This decision is a victory not only for Bloodvein River, but for all Indigenous communities striving to protect their homes from the harms caused by addiction and substance-related harms.
In late summer, Bloodvein set up a structure on Rice River Road just south of the community. This month in court, the First Nation argued it's not a blockade, saying it's a check stop to prevent drugs and liquor from entering the community. In his decision, Justice Theodore Brock says the motion for an interim injunction was dismissed because it wouldn't pass a required three-part test, and explained why. Brock says, though, MWF raised a serious question for trial. Licensed moose hunters do not risk irreparable harm if an injunction is not granted. Now, despite the motion dismissal, MWF says Bloodvein's lawyers have confirmed in writing that licensed moose hunters will be able to pass on the road. CTV's Joseph Bernacki will have more on the decision and how the First Nation is reacting coming up in the next hour.
Thanks, Taylor. Manitoba RCMP says its service-worn rollout of body-worn cameras is nearly complete.
98% of all officers working frontline policing duties in detachments across Manitoba are now equipped with body-worn cameras.
Scott McMurchie, commanding officer of the Manitoba RCMP, says nearly 650 officers across the province are now equipped with the cameras. The rollout of body-worn cameras began in November of 2024. Mounties say the tool increases transparency and helps with collecting evidence, such as photos of scenes, victims, and suspects. RCMP released this video today showcasing some of the footage captured by officers while wearing the cameras. Mounties say they have sent over 1,500 digital case shares to Manitoba prosecutions, which is growing every day. The last remaining officers to receive the body-worn cameras are in Barons River, where a new detachment is scheduled to open next week. Winnipeg Crime Stoppers is extending its enhanced cash rewards for arson tips until the end of the year. The organization says it's part of a new public awareness campaign aimed at stopping arson. It says tipsters whose information leads to an arrest or significant breakthrough may be eligible for up to $2,000. Crime Stoppers notes a rise in suspicious fires in the city, adding that even the smallest tip can prevent the next tragedy. Residents can submit tips anonymously on their website or call 786-TIPS. The City of Winnipeg may consider using fully enclosures for transit drivers over safety concerns. A motion before the Public Works Committee would direct the public service to assess the enclosure's cost and effectiveness. Now, this comes after the transit union asked for full shields, but it was decided the design changes in cost did not justify the, quote, small benefit to drivers. The proposal still needs to make its way through City Hall. Also, the city is looking to add new fines to vehicles for hire, including when a driver fails to alert authorities to suspected human trafficking. Bylaw amendments making their way through City Hall would implement a $500 fine for drivers who reasonably should have known one of their passengers may be trafficked or sexually exploited. Reporting suspected trafficking is already a requirement under provincial legislation. A city report says the fine would only be levied after an investigation. Other possible fines being considered are for failing to ensure a vehicle is up to standard and starting the meter too early. Councillors will consider the amendments Wednesday. Every day, nurses from HealthLinks take calls from people across the province with health concerns. Today, a doctor is now also helping to answer those questions.
Hello, bonjour, speaking with a registered nurse.
A pilot project is now underway adding doctors to HealthLinks. At the moment, the doctor is available from 8 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Now, later in December, the plan is to have another clinician join the service, making doctors available overnight. And in the future, nurse practitioners will also be a part of the service. The province says these additions are intended to reduce unnecessary ER visits. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation is warning Manitoba's debt load is unsustainable.
The provincial government has increased the debt by 61% since 2016.
The Taxpayers Federation says as a result, $2.3 billion must be devoted to interest payments on that debt. In fact, those payments represent the third largest area of spending for the government, after only health care and education. The Taxpayers Federation calls this a huge waste of money, saying it would be better spent on tax relief, infrastructure, or other priorities.
It's been a problem that's plaguing the Manitoba government for years, so it's not a complete blame on the current Premier and Cabinet, but it is up to the current Premier and Cabinet to come up with a plan to solve this problem.
CTV News has reached out to the province for more information and their reaction. We are awaiting a response. A restoration project at the Terry Sawchuk Arena has run into an unexpected problem, and now the city has been forced to shut down the entire facility. The city says while the work was underway at the arena, city staff uncovered an unexpected and significant structural issue, an issue so concerning, out of an abundance of caution, they immediately closed the facility. Officials say they're now creating a plan to address the issue. In the meantime, hockey teams who use the ice will have to find a new place to go, and that may not be easy. The River East Minor Hockey Association says ice time is hard to get, and dozens of practices and skates had been scheduled for the arena. They're calling on community centers to see if there is any outdoor ice time available. The arena is expected to be closed until the end of December. CTV weather specialist Colleen Brady joins us now with your first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. And Colleen, it appears as if winter is definitely on the way.
Somebody was shaking a snow globe out there earlier today, John, because it did snow a little bit here in Winnipeg, as it did in other parts of the province, but lightly, not any kind of accumulation to speak of. But otherwise, it's been a day a lot like it was yesterday, cloudy across the province, flurries here and there. And in the case of southern Manitoba, some gusty south winds coming not out of the south. Gusty winds coming from the northwest. That's an entirely different direction, isn't it? Anyway, those winds, they're going to ease up, so we'll take care of that problem. But the temperatures, they are not warming up anytime soon. That mild November that we had, it feels like a long time ago already. Well, yeah, those mild temperatures, they're done. We're getting into temperatures that will become below normal before too long. You knew it had to happen at some point, didn't you, folks? Let's take a look right now through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. In Winnipeg right now, -7 with a few flurries flying. It is -15 degrees or it feels like -15 rather when you factor in the wind chill. Winds out of the north-northwest at 27 kilometers an hour. The pressure's rising and the humidity is 69%. In traffic, a live look out onto the St. James Bridge. A little heavier for folks heading south, as you might expect, but overall traffic is moving smoothly there.
Radon is a key issue in Manitoba that is impacting our health.
A colorless and odorless killer. How one group is hoping to reduce the health risks of radon.
Key Canadian steel and lumber stocks did well today after the Prime Minister's announcement. Shares of steelmaker Algoma got a 4% bump. The boost comes a day after the Prime Minister announced added assistance for the steel industry. It's been dragged down by American duties. Ottawa will now tariff steel derivative products coming into the country and limit imports of steel. Interfor shares gained over 3% today. It's a lumber products company. Ottawa has added more financial help for that sector as well. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down slightly to 71.27. West Texas Intermediate crude is up to 59.10. Western Canadian Select is up to 45.96. And the TSX gained 16 points today, but enough for another record close at 31,196. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Market Watch is brought to you by Manitoba Blue Cross. Group health plans for any size business.
After smoking, one of the leading risk factors for lung cancer is radon. The colorless and odorless gas is present in homes across the province and has been linked to 165 deaths annually. That's why a coalition of groups is launching a new 5-year radon action plan. The Manitoba Radon Network is a new strategy designed to reduce Manitoba's radon-related lung cancer risks. It has several priorities for action, including addressing radon in new and existing builds, removing barriers to testing and mitigation, along with protecting children by preventing early exposure to the gas.
It is important that we get landlord supports on board to protect renters, to ensure that we have home builders and real estate agents so that we can get to the start of when somebody is first in their home. They can address radon easily.
The plan's authors say they're hoping it will help support new policy development going forward and ultimately help reduce lung cancer cases in our province. A nonprofit organization started a Christmas hamper program decades ago, only serving a handful of families. Today, they're supporting around 1,000 people annually, thanks to students throughout the city.
We go to the schools of St. Boniface, so there's 6 schools that we partnership with, and we talk to the principals, and they give us the names of the families, and I guess with a lot of newcomers also, that increases the amount of families we have.
Rosa Compassion Network helps people connect with 13 different social and health services to ensure no one is left without the supports they need. They started the hamper program 30 years ago, providing gifts and food to families in need.
The children are always so excited, the parents too. You know, it's really heartwarming.
You can donate on rosocompassionnetwork.ca to support the hamper program.
Community Connection is brought to you by Mr. Reuter Plumbing. Born to be a hero, trained to be a plumber.
The Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra and a British rock icon, which band member of the Police is coming to Winnipeg. Spotlight is next.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
We all know just how cold Manitoba winters can be. Imagine not having a winter coat, boots, a toque, or mitts, and stepping out into the cold. That's the reality for many kids. But you can change that. Give the gift of warmth. Donate to Coats for Kids. Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Hotel California, the original Eagles tribute.
Colleen Brady back with your spotlight today, and the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra getting ready to rock.
Are they ever, John? And the orchestra will be joined by a special guest during the performance next spring.
You don't care if it's wrong or if it's right.
This is pretty awesome, John. The WSO is reimagining the biggest hits from The Police during a one-night-only performance on March 28th. Joining the orchestra on stage will be the British band's founding drummer, Stuart Copeland. The high-energy concert will include arrangements of Roxanne, Don't Stand So Close to Me, and Message in a Bottle. Showtime is at 7:30 p.m. at Centennial Concert Hall. Tickets are available on the WSO's website. Now, the acclaimed musician will also be sharing stories from his remarkable life on March 27th at the Des Hotel Concert Hall.
What a great show.
Yeah, very cool.
Well, speaking of British rockers, one American has taken his love for a British rock band to a whole new level.
Has he ever? Richard Courtney from Tennessee has turned his home into a Beatles museum.
I have about 5,114 items. I've really been collecting since I first heard of the Beatles in 1963.
The items in his museum includes original copies of the She Loves You EP that was set to DJs in the U.S. He even has a brick from the original Strawberry Field, which was an orphanage behind John Lennon's aunt's home. Richard has even welcomed members of the Beatles' orbit to his home. He's met Paul McCartney before. Richard says when he retires from his other work, he still will be building up his home collection.
I imagine that collection cost a penny or two.
Yeah.
One would imagine.
Yes, I see what you did there, John Hendricks.
I try. After two Wicked movies, Universal is reportedly considering plans for a sequel.
That's right, and it follows big on the success at the box office. Wicked for Good brought in nearly $150 million US across North America in its opening weekend. That marked the best opening ever for a Broadway adaptation. Universal Pictures Chief Marketing Officer Michael Moses has now told Vulture that things are underway to tell a new story set in that same version of The Land of Oz. He added that there are still a few details to be figured out, as you might imagine.
Yeah, such as the sequel was already done. It's called The Wizard of Oz.
Yes, there's that wrinkle.
I'm sure they will figure something out.
Iron out, yes.
A sequel to the Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan film series Rush Hour is coming, and it seems we may have Donald Trump to thank for it.
Apparently so. Rush Hour 4 is being made, and reportedly the U.S. president stepped in to help get the movie distributed.
You destroyed half a city block.
That block was already messed up.
And you lost a lot of evidence.
Still got a little bit left.
The Rush Hour movies are directed by Brett Ratner. Now, he's been radioactive in Hollywood since being accused of sexual misconduct during the Me Too movement. Warner Brothers had released 3 previous movies but passed on a 4th. However, Trump has stepped in and asked Paramount to distribute the movie. Now talks are apparently underway to make it happen.
I did like the Rush Hour movies, so thank you, Trump, I guess.
What will happen next, John? Stick with us and we'll let you know. Well, in the meantime, are you ready for some football? That's good, because your primetime lineup starts at 7 with Football Night in America. Then catch the Bengals versus the Ravens, and Children Ruin Everything wraps up the night at 10:30. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
The CTV Primetime lineup is brought to you by Strictly Amish, exclusively in Arbor, Manitoba.
A little bit of light snow falling in Winnipeg right now. Looking at Confusion Corner, not so confusing, traffic moving well. I will have your full forecast coming up.
Women's clothing provided by RW and Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Well, in a lot of ways, we basically just hit the repeat button and had a repeat of the day we had yesterday. Cloudy, windy, winds from the northwest, and some flurries popping up here and there. We have a little bit of light snow that's falling again in the city after some came through this morning. Next door in northwestern Ontario, similar conditions. Winds coming in to that part of Ontario out of the northwest. Some light cloud overhead as well, with the possibility of flurries there as well. Further off to the east, you can see much more substantial snow with a low pressure system affecting those areas. But back back in ours. Some clearing across parts of the north tonight, a little bit here in the south. But look at this band of snow. I know it doesn't look like much, but there is the possibility that it could produce quite a few centimeters of snow through the Narrows, down off the south basin of Lake Winnipeg, and off to the southeast into places like Pinawa. We may catch a little bit of that, and that may well be what we're seeing right now with that light snow resuming here in Winnipeg. But overnight, you can see that band continues to produce that snow. It starts to break off, but then I bet you're watching this. Well, some of this is going to make its way into Manitoba. The bulk of that system, though, will slide off nicely down into the U.S. But we do get a band of snow at the front edge of it tomorrow for areas well north of Winnipeg. Otherwise, you'll see some clearing through central parts of the province overnight, taking us into Saturday and the start of the weekend. And temperatures are going to get considerably colder by the time we get Saturday night into Sunday. As for tonight and getting colder, we drop down to minus 10 degrees. We haven't had a minus double-digit low in a while, but that's the expectation tonight with that snow falling lightly this evening, but that's not expected to last all night. Winds will ease up mid-evening out of the northwest at 10 kilometers an hour, and that's where they will stay put throughout the day tomorrow. Friday, mix of sun and cloud with a high of minus 6 degrees, and minus 6 is now the normal high for this time of year, so keep that in mind. Saturday, minus 7 degrees, so now we're starting to dip below normal. It's been a good run, folks. Mix of sun and cloud, just 11 on Sunday in the sunshine, minus 8, minus 9 degrees Monday, Tuesday, and then by Wednesday, look at that, a high of just minus 15 degrees. Our first weather photo takes us south of Rapid City. A beautiful look at the sky there. That photo was taken by Tracy. And this next one is a look at some of the ice starting to form out there on the rocks. That's out at Bel Air. From Andrew, send us your photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
The CTV Skywatch Pick of the Day is brought to you by the Manitoba Chiropractors Association. We've got your back.
Canadians stopped coming to them, so an American rubber duck museum is now coming to Canada.
It actually became a no-brainer to come to Canada. Like, we love Canada. That's why we moved to Point Roberts to begin with. Canada aligns more with our values.
Neil King is getting his ducks in a row as he and his wife Crystal prepare to open their new business in BC. The American couple opened their rubber duck museum in Point Roberts, Washington in July of 24. But after U.S. President Donald Trump was elected, they say their foot traffic stopped, with a large amount coming from Canadians who no longer wanted to travel to the U.S. And I have to say, I think it is ducky that they have come to Canada.
There's nothing left for me to say.
We'll see you at 6 with more.